I spoke once on an example as it pertains to being shot as an arrow. And my illustration of that was because me and my son left an environment that wasn't good for us. And that was, in my belief, God shooting us to a safe place. But the place that we're at now, there are things that are going on that I don't quite understand. But another situation has arose to where me and my son have to go back to the place where we left. And it kind of makes me feel like we're going back, like we're going backwards, especially with all the things and signs and stuff God has shown me, and more likely my son. So it kind of feels discouraging, more like a defeat. We're not going back to them. We're just going back because of some court hearing, something that's childish, something that shouldn't even be dealt with. But that's just by any means what abusers, wicked individuals will use to try to reel you back. Whatever they can use to pull you back, they will use. But still expecting a turnaround before that day. And but even if there isn't a turnaround, I have to choose to believe that God has a reason for that, for me and my son's life. Or I choose to look at it, as I mentioned in another video, as God is just taking us again in his hands, which is the bow, and pulling us back again, holding me and my son in his hand, pulling us back again. And once he deals with whatever that is that he has to deal with there, he's going to shoot us again into another place further, So it's a discouragement, but I'm encouraging myself to look at it like that. And as I was doing that, another encouragement had arose when I was thinking about the life of Jesus. Jesus, as many would say, or as the Word of God would say, Jesus of Nazareth. But Jesus been to Judea. Jesus went to Jerusalem. Jesus went to Samaria. Jesus went to Galilee. He often went to Galilee. And if I'm not mistaken, he did more miracles in Galilee than anywhere else. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Jesus went to many places and stuff, but he always went back to now I don't know the number of times he went back to his hometown, but I know he went back more than once. And me personally looking at that, and I'm seeing it in a different way for me and my son right now. Jesus said in his word that a prophet is not accepted in his own hometown. And so, but even in Jesus' hometown, he went back. I'm not sure the exact account or the many times he went back, but I know he went back. But I look at that as like Jesus not going back. I look at that as Jesus like, okay, I have to go take care of my Father's business. I'm not going back because I'm going backwards. I'm going back because I have to deal with something. I have to do something. I'm not going back to to the place that God took me from for whatever reason. It's something there that I have to do. It's something there that God needs to deal with. And once I deal with that, then I'm leaving that place again, and I'm journeying off to another direction, into another location. And once I complete that mission for my Father, I'm moving forward again. So it's not like Jesus, when he went back to a certain location, that he was going backwards. It was just that Jesus had something that he had to do. And I'm trying to draw from that as a word of encouragement that I received today for myself and my son, to not get discouraged. I'm not saying it's not there, but I'm trying to make and I'm not saying that the discouragement hasn't left, because it hasn't, but I'm trying to make the encouragement more stronger, more higher than the discouragement that I'm feeling. And but once again, I have to look at it. It's all for a reason. Just as the many reasons Jesus had to go back and forth to the same places and stuff several times, but he didn't stay. And so, that's how I'm trying to look at it. An arrow in God's hand. He just keeps shooting me. Me and my son, he just keeps shooting us. He takes us, and then he draws us back and shoot us again. Draws us back and shoot us again. May not always draw us back to the same location, but a different location that we were once at. Just draw us back and shoot us again, or draw us back in the location that we're residing at now or something, and just pull us back in his hand, his bow, and shoot us again. And so I'm just trying to look at that as a form of encouragement. And if I had to use another great example, that would be of the life of Moses. How he fled away from Egypt and went far off into the wilderness. And I'm pretty sure in his mind, this is me assuming, in his mind, that he didn't have to or wouldn't have to go back to Egypt ever again. But God sent him back. He had to go back. And it's not like he was going back to stay. Moses went back to do God's will, to do the work of God. He had something he needed to finish. He had something that needed to be done, that God needed to deal with once and for all. And he completed that. And when he did, he and the children of Israel, they ended up leaving Egypt again. So it was like, Moses left Egypt and ran it far off into the wilderness, but God drew him back again like an arrow, and this time shot him further. May not been in the place that he desired, like going into the promised land. And I say maybe, even though he didn't go into the promised land. But that didn't say that he didn't have a desire or a heart to go into there. But like Paul said in the New Testament, to live is Christ, to die is gain. I'm pretty sure even though Moses wanted to go into the promised land, he had much more of a desire to go home and be with God, to be with Christ. So that's another form of encouragement I pull from, as God pulling us back as arrows, not to go back, not to stay, but just to shoot us further somewhere. And the only negative and bad example that I can give of looking back or going back would be that of Lot's wife. Many people, and myself in times past, have looked at that as in, oh, she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. But for me personally, I don't see that like that anymore. I see that as in, she looked back, but that's the case with many of us. We all look back. We all remember to learn, to grow from to have a personal experience to keep us from going around the same mountain, hopefully. But I don't think she just looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. No, I think she looked back and she stayed there. She didn't want to go forward. She didn't want to move forward. She wanted to stay where she was and to have that mindset, that heart set, or mentality, whatever. That would cause her to turn into a pillar of salt, because there are some people who want to move forward, and there are those who do not. And I believe she was one of those individuals, and how I'm looking at it now, that did not want to go forward. She wanted to stay back. She wanted to go backwards. And that's why I believe she turned into a pillar of salt. It's a lot to pull from that, but that's how I see it now. But just wanted to place that out there. Encouraging myself, really, me and my son, but for anybody else who may want to or choose to draw from it. So arrows in God's hand.